After firing a new tactical guided weapon, as it's been called, North Korea demands that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo be removed from any future talks. That's aggressive, isn't it? U.S. With us now, Gordon Chang. He's the author of the new book, Losing South Korea. Gordon is with us today. What do you think President Trump's response to this should be?
I think that he should say to the North Koreans, Mike Pompeo is staying in the talks. If you don't like it, we're walking. You remember at the end of May of last year, when the North Koreans were unusually belligerent with regard to U.S. officials and their rhetoric, Trump said, look, I'm withdrawing from then proposed summit with Kim Jong-un. And within hours, the North Koreans became conciliatory. I think we'd see the same dynamic here. But the North Koreans have really crossed the line because they're really trying to put pressure on President Trump right now.
Why now? Why are they trying? I mean, the question is, why now?
I think because they realize that the sanctions are biting, that President Trump is not going to relax them until the North Koreans make important concessions of their own, which they probably aren't willing to make. So I think they're just trying to see how far they can push the United States.
But it's basically stalemate, isn't it?
It's a stalemate so far, but, you know, President Trump, if he decided to go back to vigorous enforcement of sanctions, he could make life very difficult for the Russians, the Chinese, and the South Koreans who are openly violating the UN rules, and that would put a lot more pressure on Kim Jong-un because then he wouldn't be getting cash. If he doesn't have cash, he's not staying in power.
So the president does have a way of getting some leverage back over North Korea, significant leverage.
Right, and President Trump, before the Singapore summit, said, look, I'm going to give Kim a one-time shot. This is American generosity. And I think the North Koreans are mistaking this generosity for weakness, and they think they can sort of give a hard time to the U.S. That's a big mistake, and it might be the last mistake that Kim makes.
Wait a minute. That's a provocative statement. It may be the last mistake that Kim Jong-un makes. What do you mean by that?
Well, because the United States can really bring pressure on the North Koreans to the point where Kim could not maintain the regime.
But you've got to have support from China to do that.
You can pressure China. For instance, we have not gone after their banks for laundering money for the North Koreans. All four of China's so-called Big Four banks have been handling Kim's cash in violation of U.S. rules and UN rules.
But if we go after their banks and really put pressure on their banks, Chinese banks, they're not going to play ball with us when it comes to trade negotiations, or are they?
Oh, I think that they will. We need to give them some incentive to help us. Remember, they only came to the table to talk trade after those Section 301 tariffs. You know, we always think you got to be nice to the Chinese and they'll be nice to us. No, they do not reciprocate gestures of friendship. We have decades of dealing with China to know that what you do is you put pressure on them and you leave them no choice but to do the right thing. Unfortunately, we don't do that enough because we sort of think, oh, you know, we got to be partners with the Chinese. Well, that approach just hasn't worked, Stuart.
But look, it seems like there is progress being made in these trade talks. April 29th, Secretary Mnuchin and Lighthizer, they go to Beijing. The following week, their vice premier comes here. They're looking for a summit location somewhere in neutral territory. I got to call that moving towards a trade deal.
Well, it is moving towards a trade deal, but we got to remember that when the Chinese vice premier was here 2 weeks ago, you know, everyone, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, was reporting on that Thursday of the meeting that, look, you know, President Trump was going to announce a summit from the Oval Office. Yeah. When they had that Oval Office meeting with the vice premier and with Lighthizer, Trump didn't say that. Matter of fact, Trump actually threatened to cut off trade with the Chinese during that Oval Office meeting. So, you know, there's a lot of progress being reported, but there's been a lot of progress that's been reported in the past, and we really don't know how far these talks are going.
Your position has consistently been hardline Trump. That's the way you deal with China. That's the way you deal with North Korea. Hardline. Maintain it. Always.
Always, because unfortunately, that's the way Beijing thinks. They're ruthlessly pragmatic, and, you know, they might sort of on some level think that if we're nice to them, they'll be nice to us, but they don't allow their emotions to get in the way of their statecraft, which is always really tough. This is the way it is. We have 4 decades of dealing with them. You know, unfortunately, you know, we cannot be good to them because it doesn't work.
Gordon Chang, the author of the new book, Losing South Korea. Have I got it right?
You got it right.
I'll read it, okay? Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart.